Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel for my 34-week pregnancy update. This past week of pregnancy has been so draining and so stressful. Like, I wish I could come on here and be like super positive and like happy and upbeat and have all this energy because I'm gonna have a baby soon, and it's been really hard. I've been struggling a lot like the past week or so. I want to be honest and real that it has not been easy, and this is usually part of being in the third trimester, is like you get to this point where things are you just feel overwhelmed, you're stressed, you're really uncomfortable, like you don't know what your body is doing. I don't know. It's been a tough week, but I'm gonna try and be as positive about all this as I possibly can, because at some point or another, this baby will be here. He's not ready to be here yet, but I'll explain why I've been feeling the way I've been feeling once I get into all my symptoms. But today at 34 weeks pregnant, I got on the scale and I weighed 138.2, which is about a half a pound up from last week, which is typical for this point in pregnancy. And I know that I mentioned in my last pregnancy update that I hadn't really like gained any weight for like the previous 2 weeks, but now like after I said that, I gained half a pound. So I don't know, who knows. At this point in my pregnancy with Anastasia, my daughter, I was, I think, 143 or 144, somewhere around there. So I still am less than I was with her, but I feel like my belly is a little bit bigger this time around. So it's interesting how different pregnancies can be. And then I'll quickly just show you what my bump app says. I have the little email that they send me, and it says that the baby is roughly the size of a butternut squash, and he is about 17.7 inches and between 4.2 and 5.3 pounds. It says 4.6 on my bump app, but I'm trying to remember what the Pregnancy Plus app says without pulling it up, but it was basically between like 4.5 to 5.5 pounds roughly. It says baby's recognizing and reacting to simple songs if you're singing them, and baby is also peeing about a pint a day. So that's what Boston is up to right now. So let me go ahead and just jump right into all of the symptoms and things that have gone on over the past week. Really quickly, before I actually tell you what my symptoms have been, I do want to say that this is like usually when things get kind of like gross and yucky in pregnancy. So if you don't want to hear about like that kind of stuff, these are going to probably be some TMI symptoms for some people who have like a weak stomach or something like that. So here is your warning. But I want to share everything that's been going on. The first thing that I was experiencing this week was I noticed that I was having diarrhea, and that is not something that I normally experience. It's not all day, every day, but it's been pretty frequent, and I haven't changed any of my eating habits or anything like that, so I know it's not really from that. And the reason why this kind of stresses me out is because this can sometimes be a sign that labor is coming very soon, because your body tries to clean itself out before you give birth. Usually like you get diarrhea and you start throwing up and stuff like that, and that is like usually within like a week span of having your baby. But like I said, I'm only 34 weeks, so we are not ready to be having this baby yet. Like if he was born, chances are he would like survive and be fine and everything like that, but he would probably end up being in the NICU and like being really small and other health complications that come with just being a preemie. So this was the first symptom that I was experiencing that I was getting a little bit concerned about. So that's the first thing. And then the next thing was that I got nauseous like on and off this week, and it wasn't a whole lot, it wasn't all day, but I just noticed that I was getting waves of nausea. And again, that is another like early labor sign, is when you get nauseous again and you start throwing up. I haven't thrown up, which is great. I haven't thrown up at all this pregnancy, which I am so grateful for, because I know some women are throwing up their entire pregnancy, but nausea with or without throwing up is just not fun. And it was definitely something that started happening this week. So on top of these two symptoms, I've also been just extremely like irritated this week. Like I have no patience for anything. I'm getting frustrated really easily, and I think this all ties into I don't know what my body is doing right now, and I'm like frustrated because I feel like I'm showing these signs of labor, and like labor is coming soon, and I I'm not ready, the baby's not ready, like it's just not time for that yet, and that is stressing me out. And because I'm stressed out because of that, I've just been like irritated and more snappy and just had no patience for things, which I hate. I hate not being in a good mood. I hate snapping at people. I hate being like an Eeyore. I don't like that, and it's been frustrating. I'm getting frustrated with myself because I'm being irritated, if that makes sense. So those are like just the couple of symptoms that I noticed this week. And then now I'll go ahead and talk about my doctor's appointment. I had my 34-week checkup on Thursday. I've said this before, but I usually have my weekly checkups a couple days before I turn over the actual week. So I was 33 weeks and 5 days when I had my 34-week checkup because my weeks turn over on Saturdays. So when we went in, I explained to them that I had been having contractions, like, or what I thought were contractions. I don't know. It's just been like Braxton Hicks, which I've been getting forever. And I know what Braxton Hicks are. Like, I know what they look like, what they feel like, what they are. Like, that's nothing new to me. I'm someone that just gets them a lot. But on top of that, I've also been having like what feels like period cramps. And I'm pretty sure I went over this in the last update or two where I talked about this, but it literally just feels like I'm on my period and I just get cramping on and off throughout the day, and it's dull, like achy cramping, and it just feels like, this is really gross, but it, like when you are on your period and you get like really bad cramps sometimes, and it's like a lot passes through you when you're menstruating, like that's kind of what it feels like. It's not to the point where I like am having to take Tylenol or I can't like talk or walk or breathe or anything like that, but it's just, I know that they're there. And I never experienced this with Anastasia. I never had any kind of cramping like this before I was in actual labor. Like my very first contractions felt like period cramps, and then that only lasted for like half an hour until they like escalated into full on like labor contractions where I felt like I was falling off the face of the earth and dying. For the past 2 weeks or so, it's just been dull, achy cramping on and off all throughout the day. And I actually think that there was a day that I like tracked all of them. So this was all of the, hopefully you can see it with my ring light, but I wrote down all of the contractions that I had experienced in one day. That's all of them. I didn't time them because it was just kind of like they would fade in and out. Sometimes it would be like 5 seconds, sometimes it would be like 2 minutes. But next to each contraction, I put PC or BH, and PC stood for period cramping and BH stood for Braxton Hicks, and then sometimes I would get both. And that was between the hours of 9 a.m. and 9 p.m. That's when I was tracking them, and I remembered to write them down. And there were a couple times where I had like 4 in 1 hour. So when I went to my doctor's appointment, I showed her that, and she seemed like she was a little bit concerned. So she asked if my husband and I had sex in the last 24 hours, and we had, and the reason she asked that was because she wanted to see if she could run the preterm labor test, and this happened the last time she tried to do this, and I didn't think that she was gonna want to do that, so I was just like, I mean, there's no reason why we can't have sex. So we had sex within 24 hours of our appointment, so she couldn't run the preterm labor test, but she did check me. And she said I was still closed, but she did say that I could be experiencing cramping from a yeast infection or a bacterial infection. And I mean, I guess I can kind of understand why she said that, but at the same time I don't, because I am somebody that is extremely prone to yeast infections. I don't know why. Like, I do all the things that you're supposed to do to prevent them. Like, I take probiotics, I don't stay in sweaty clothes, obviously I like wipe front to back, I pee after having sex, I only wear cotton underwear, I don't wear any kind of like silky fancy underwear or anything like that, because that just like helps with that. I don't wear thongs unless I absolutely like have to, like if I'm wearing tight pants or something like that and I can't wear like full butt underwear. Like, I take all the precautions that there is to take when it comes to like vaginal health and protecting yourself from yeast infections and all that kind of stuff, just because I have been prone to them, and I've had to learn over the years how to help prevent them. For like, there's some girls that don't do any of those things and never get one, and I just happen to be really sensitive to that. So with that being said, I know what a yeast infection is, and I know what the signs and symptoms are, and I don't have any of those. So I was like, I wasn't annoyed, but I was just kind of like frustrated when she said that because I'm like, I know that I don't have that. I know for a fact I don't have that because I've gotten them before and I know what they are. I was more concerned with her saying a bacterial infection because I've had a bacterial infection as well, and that's just a little more like, it's like a painful yeast infection almost, and you just don't feel good down there. And I wasn't having any of those symptoms. Like, my whole lady region has been fine, completely normal, totally nothing like different or anything like that. Like, no weird discharge, nothing, no odor, no itching, no nothing, like nothing. But anyways, she checked me and took a swab to test to see if there was any infection. And right after she checked me, I was closed. I'm not dilated at all yet, which was surprising because I've been having the period-like cramps. But when I sat up from her checking me, I had another passing out episode, which is so frustrating. I think I just sat up too fast. But again, I was kind of at like a reclined position. I wasn't laying all the way flat at all. But it was like the same position I was in when I was getting the massage and I passed out. Same thing happened. I lost consciousness and I was shaking and my eyes were flickering and it was just like, yeah. And the funny thing is that when this happened, it was right after she checked me, so I had no pants on, no underwear on. All I had was a shirt and the pink sheet over my lap. Like, I don't know why I can't pass out with my clothes on, but apparently that's just how it happens for me. So that was fun. When I woke up, I'm pretty sure I was holding Johnny's hand and he was like holding like the ammonia stuff in front of my face to try and wake me up. And I felt like I couldn't breathe. I thought I was gonna throw up because that stuff was making me sick. There was like 80,000 nurses and doctors in the room and they were checking my blood pressure a million times and it was just a fiasco. So after I passed out, like I said, they were checking my blood pressure and I just have naturally low blood pressure. So right after that happened, it was like 80. I think the first time she checked it, it was like 87/60 something. And then slowly it crept back up a little bit into like low 90s/60s. So that's usually where my blood pressure is like 90 to 100 over like 60s. So after that, my blood pressure stabilized and I was fine. And then they just wanted to be safe and they put me on they took me into like the room where they do the non-stress test for the baby and they put a monitor on me just to make sure that he was fine and everything was fine. After that whole event was over, I just kind of like, we had to run errands, we had to go to the bank, we had to go to the grocery store and do all that stuff. But after that, I came home and I took a nap that was very much needed. Like, I really feel like my body just is stressed out and I need rest, but it's just very hard to get that rest because I'm a stay-at-home mom. Like, I can't just ignore Anastasia all day. And it was actually funny because the doctor said at the appointment, she was like, okay, you really have to try not to, you know, pick her up and, you know, make sure someone else is doing her diaper changes and blah, 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 all this stuff. And I'm like, I stay home with her. And she was like, oh. And at that point, we were just like, so now what? Like, it's not an option for me to not take care of my toddler, and I do my best to not just tote her around all day, like on my belly or on my hip. I really only try to pick her up if I need to when I'm putting her in the car or in and out of her bed or diaper changes or anything like that. But I do it all day. And of course I have Johnny, who is, you know, he's here and he helps me as much as he can when he's here, but he works a job and he cannot be here with me all day. So I was a little bit frustrated when I was told to like basically just like not be a mom all day, but I don't have that option. I don't have a nanny, I don't have a babysitter, I don't have any of that kind of stuff. It's just me and I'm doing the best that I can. I'm trying to keep myself and my body safe, and also Anastasia is still cared for and all of that. So that has been another reason that I've been really stressed out about everything. I just it's been a hard week or so. But anyways, I think I went off on a tangent there. The next thing that I was gonna say was later on that day after I took a nap and I went to the bathroom and I noticed what looked like, this is again another TMI symptom, I noticed what looked like a clearish, whitish, like sticky snot type thing in my underwear. And again, I know I don't have any kind of infection or anything like that. Which by the way, they called me a couple days ago and told me that all my results were negative, so I was right about not having any kind of infections. But it was like a clear white sticky snot looking thing, and I was like, is this part of my mucus plug? So I looked up what a mucus plug was, and it looked exactly like what some of these women were showing. Some of them had like blood and stuff in it, but mine didn't. But it looked like what I saw on Google. And a lot of these girls, theirs was like this big, like kind of like could like fit in the side, the palm of your hand, but mine was more like a fingertip, maybe even less. It was seriously like that much. It was a tiny amount. And I was like, I think that might be my mucus plug. I don't know, or part of it. Definitely not the whole thing, but it looked like part of it. So that was something that happened this week, and that could have been from being checked. But I know it wasn't like any kind of lubrication or anything that they used to check me, because she didn't use any. She just kind of went in there. I noticed that, and then the next morning I noticed that a tiny bit more, even less than the first time, had also like was in my underwear. So I'm not sure. I know that your mucus plug can grow back, like you can lose it slowly and grow it back and stuff like that. But there's also times where women lose their mucus plug and then they like their water breaks and they have a baby. I don't think that's happening, but it's just something that I wrote down and I remembered, because I'll probably let them know at my next appointment what happened. So that was another big thing that has happened. And then on top of that, the very last thing is that I've just been having more cramping, more Braxton Hicks. It's just been hard. Like before I was getting like period cramping like maybe once or twice a day, and now it's like anywhere from 1 to 4 times an hour. Like it kind of just goes on and off all day, and nothing really changes like if I'm sitting or being active, or like it just is there. There's nothing I do that makes it worse or less, so I don't really know. It's frustrating because I almost feel like I'm a first-time mom all over again, because I'm explaining all these symptoms to like my doctor, and they're checking me and doing these tests and things like that, and like everything is fine, but I know that I'm not making this up. Like it's not in my head. I can feel these things happening, because when I feel normal, I'm like, oh, I'm totally fine. But then I'll get another cramp or something like that, and I'm like, okay, this is not normal. I don't know what's going on. Anyways, if you guys made it this far in my pregnancy update video, thank you so much for watching. Again, I'm sorry that I am just kind of like scatterbrained, stressed out, frazzled, hot mess right now, but this is real. This is what being 34 weeks pregnant looks like, and I'm trying my best to just hang in there, and just I really just want him to stay cooking in my belly until the very minimum 37 weeks. Just 37 weeks is like the absolute earliest I would be comfortable with him coming. I don't want him to come that early, and I'm not trying to induce labor at all, but I don't want him coming before 37 weeks, and I just want to make sure that everything is okay. So anyways, that's where I'm at. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to stick around for the very end to see my 34-week belly shot. If you like this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. Leave me a comment down below if you were also expecting, and let me know what some of your early labor symptoms were and when you had your baby, because I'm over here freaking out if you can't tell. But again, thank you guys so much for watching, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button. I will see you in my next one.
Never thought it'd be easy to feel you in my arms, but now we're here and I'm all in, and I wonder about you, 'cause I can stay till the morning, or stay till the dawn, but just hold me now. I wanna be so much better whenever you're around. I wanna say something clever to get in your mind, 'cause right now we're not together, and I lose my way then. Oh, I feel so much better.